In our last vignette, we had been talking about the visible signs of the Catholic Church, and we mentioned the fact that these signs can be looked at different levels. As long as you are in the upper level, the signs are not very reliable, but the moment you go deeper, then the signs become more reliable. To the point that the moment you understand what the sign really is and find it in a certain church, you can be very certain that this truly is a church of Christ. Some of the signs that we have seen, for instance, that are enough to convince us that the Catholic Church is the true church is the office of the papacy. The office of the papacy seems to be the element that makes the church one. There is one truth, there is one discipline, one ruler, one theology. And of course, there is that big corporate management that had its headquarters in Rome. It is a big corporate company, almost like the Standard Oil of Britain. It is well organized. It shows that it is one, but still it is a very shallow sign, even shallower than the papacy. And then we discussed the four signs, and we sort of concentrated on the first one, that the church is one, and we began to go deeper into the meaning of one. And we said that one means that all the members of the Catholic Church has to be of one mind and one heart and one spirit. Now, this sign of oneness is so important that it is all over Scriptures. The signs are in Scriptures. The very prayer of Christ demands that we become one. And St. Paul reminds us that we make one body and one spirit. And to illustrate the essence of this oneness of mind and heart and spirit within the Catholic Church, we have the picture of St. Paul describing the Church as the mystical body of Christ, like a real human being with Christ as the head, and with each Catholic, true Catholic at that, who all of them are one mind and one heart, make the body of Christ. And this body is so unique that the feeling of one affects the other, and the sin of one affects the other. Aside from the image of the mystical body of Christ, we also have the image of an edifice wherein each members of the Catholic Church that are one mind and one heart with one another is described as a building. And this building is supposed to be a symbol of the Temple of Jerusalem. This is the foreshadowing of the Catholic Church. We also mentioned the fact that for several people to be one mind and one heart is quite a difficult task. In fact, even families cannot attain it. Religious communities cannot seem to reach it. And if you look around in the Catholic Church, it is a function that is widely neglected, trying to make everyone one heart and one mind. When we say one mind, we must agree, one mind, we must agree on what is required for us to go to heaven. The way to heaven and the things we must do should be very clear to all of us, and we must agree on the same thing, on one and the same thing. And to be of one heart means that all of us must have only one desire, and that is the eternal salvation of our souls. To attain this one mind and one heart, it is important that we all live together in one highly organized society, foreshadowing the way of life in heaven. Precisely this is the importance why families, members of the family, should live together, so they would eventually become one mind and one heart. And this is the reason why religious members of religious orders are supposed to live together, because that's the easier way to attain one heart and one mind. But it seems that both in the family and religious orders, they have forgotten why they have to live together and in community, and therefore they have failed to become one mind and one heart. Let us try to see how the Catholic Church spread. It was a plan that Jesus Christ himself made, and therefore we have to follow. So the first thing you have to keep in mind that Christ established his church, which was made up of men and women, of course, who were of one mind and one heart. Now this was his church. Now how did he intend to spread his church? Well, for instance, this is the first church of Christ, and once in a while some people would be incorporated into the church, and therefore it would expand a little. The way they would do their missionary work is this way, in that they get a chunk of the church, metaphorically speaking, and then send it somewhere. Now notice that a chunk of the church was sent. For instance, in the case of Germany, they sent Saint Boniface with a community. And the reason why the community must go with Saint Boniface is they have to illustrate how the gospel is to believe. If there is only one missionary, how can he demonstrate what he is teaching? And the same thing goes with St. Augustine and his small group when they were sent to England. It was again a community. It was a small community, one heart and one mind, that was sent to England, so when Augustine would preach, his community would exemplify and show to the English people how the teachings of Christ was to be practiced. Again, something that one or two missionaries cannot do. And so the way the Catholic Church send missionaries to convert other countries is by sending a chunk of the church towards those people. And the reason for this is the chunk of the church will demonstrate how the gospel is being lived, and when people are being converted and baptized, they can be assimilated or incorporated into an already existing church. You won't begin a new church in that place. You cannot, because that church has to be connected to the line that connects them to the apostles. If you start a new church, it will not be connected in succession from the apostles, and therefore it would not be a part of the Catholic Church. To make this work of mission very effective, Christ made his church monarchical. In fact, in the parables, he always described his church like a king with a kingdom, with subjects. Now, try to imagine this. Now let us pretend that there is a kingdom and there is a king. And the king is very holy, he is very intelligent, and a good manager, gifted. Now this king have children who are intelligent, holy, virtuous, and good managers. Now if this king pass away or dies, and the children had been trained when that king was alive, why, the training of the children, the future successor, would have been very good, isn't it? There seems to be a continuity in the rule of the king. And if these children again are followed by more children, hereditary, who are intelligent, holy, virtuous, and good manager, why, this country is going to be ruled very, very well because of the hereditary body politics. There is a continuity in the rule, which does not happen in a democratic form of government, in the sense that the one who takes over have no experience whatsoever about ruling. While in a monarchy, while the king is ruling, the children are already learning and watching, and they are experiencing some parts in the ruling of the country. That's why democracy had always been, for the church, a very unsatisfactory form of ruling, because it is always open to confusion and to anarchy. This is exactly what Christ did with his Catholic Church. He began with a body of men who were holy, with wisdom and knowledge and good managers, and they in turn, the apostles, trained a group of people with equal virtue and holiness, called fathers of the church, and so forth and so on. Sometimes the group is big, and probably today it's very, very small, but these are the people in the church that are of one heart and one mind. Monarchical system. It is the best system to make the Catholic Church one. God bless you.